Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
Oh, I thought you'd never ask. It's the 28th day of May. It is a Thursday. That means we've got a Dear John letter coming up later in the program. We'll tell you more about that in a bit. But first, National Brisket Day. Oh, I love brisket.
I'm not a fan.
Man, I'm a huge fan. But you know what? For whatever reason, every time I have brisket, I get sick.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's like a seasoning.
It's rich
or,
red meat
that
just doesn't agree with you.
Man, I love it. I could eat it all day long. I'd be sick for the whole rest of the day, but boy, I love brisket. And then it's National Hamburger Day.
Yum.
I also got to tell you, I love hamburgers, but they don't make me sick. If I ate enough of them, I suppose it would.
Oh, yeah.
Got a Dear John letter, and our Dear John letter today is about homeschooling. So we've got the letter posted on our Facebook page. We posted it there yesterday, but we've got a person asking about our opinion on them homeschooling moving forward, and she's saying that her husband's not a fan of that, but she wants to do that and just wants to get some other opinions. So if you have an opinion on this, you can chime in at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Many people have dabbled in the stock market for their very first time ever this year. If you're new to the market, but you don't want to learn things the hard way and the expensive way, I encourage you to subscribe to this free newsletter. You can get the inside track with Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com. Subscribe for free. If you change your mind, just unsubscribe. Sign up for free right now at marketbeatminute.com. That's marketbeatminute.com. Now, surveys and studies and such brought to you by BetterCreditCards.com. A study by the New England Journal of Medicine finds that cats can catch coronavirus from humans and spread it to other cats.
Oh.
So that's kind of weird. I wonder what happened there.
Huh.
I didn't know that was even a thing, but apparently. I've got a link to that story if you want to read more about it. I remember hearing about the tiger that got coronavirus.
Right, and I suppose that's a cat.
Yeah, so that all makes sense, I guess. But so like a house cat can as well, apparently. Wow, interesting stuff. I've got a link to that study. It's in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com.
Some credit cards have really high rates or big annual fees. Usually, people sign up for these when it's all they qualify for. If that sounds like you, it may be time to get a better credit card. Over time, your situation changes, and you may qualify for a better credit card. Your current card hopes you don't think about it, but our site shows you many options to see if there's a better credit card for you. Check it out for free at bettercreditcards.com. That's bettercreditcards.com.
This is your Brain on Drugs, brought to you by Time4Rehab.com. Florida Highway Patrol K-9 have scored second drug bust in a month, this time sniffing out some cocaine hidden in a taco dinner kit.
Oh.
It says here, Wednesday, looks like maybe a couple weeks ago, they pulled over a Nissan sedan. The driver was nervous. They said didn't take long for them to figure out why. K-9 Titan checked out the car and alerted on an old El Paso, I'm saying that wrong, an old El Paso taco kit box. I don't know why that was hard for me to say.
Dogs are awesome.
But instead of bold nacho cheese shells and taco sauce inside, like the box says, there was a half pound of cocaine.
Yikes.
Also, $20,000 in cash. The driver,
Whoa.
identified by the police as 41-year-old Leon Robert King, was arrested on charges of drug possession and drug trafficking as well. May 4th is when this... May 4th, Titan helped them nab two men driving with 25 pounds of marijuana crammed into a trash bag. So the same dog, Titan, 2 in 1 month.
Awesome.
Pretty darn good.
Dog.
Absolutely. I've got a link to this in the show notes for today, and that is what happens when your brain is on drugs. Now, big screen, little screen, brought to you by ChannelSurferTV.com. Lori Loughlin is back in the news. She and her husband, Massimo, I'm not sure how to say his last name, Ganuli? Anyway,
guilty?
They did plead guilty last week in the college admissions scandal. It was last Thursday is when they did that.
Did they get their sentence?
I don't have the details on that yet, so probably, I don't know. I haven't really been paying attention, so I'm sure it'll be in the news. All the papers will be talking about it. The stars of Bravo's Real Housewives are auctioning off their reunion dresses to help first responders. That's pretty cool.
Okay.
Here's the thing that's weird, though. My computer has nothing to do with the story, but my computer does not see the word responders as a word. So every time first responders shows up, it underlines it squiggly like they spelled it wrong.
Oh, okay.
So I just changed it in my computer, so now I just made that a word. It should have been. So
Okay.
hopefully I fixed it for the whole world. I doubt it. Probably just on my computer. But this is Big Screen, Little Screen, brought to you by ChannelSurferTV.com.
We're here to make it better.
If you find that drug or alcohol problems are hitting you too close to home, you can get help. Maybe it's time for rehab. Your insurance may even cover everything. Learn more at timeforrehab.com. Get help for a drug or alcohol problem within 24 hours.
We're here to make it better.
Get more information at timeforrehab.com. That's timeforrehab.com.
Now your scoop of the day comes your way courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. NASA has detected the existence of a parallel universe where time runs backwards. What? I've got a link to the story. I have no idea what that's all about, but it certainly sounds interesting to me.
Huh.
So I'm not really, I don't know. I'm going to move on. Better Business Bureau is warning that a growing number of Americans are being tricked into buying non-existent puppies over the internet during the coronavirus lockdown. The way it works, they advertise puppies for sale, but once you give them a deposit, they never ever give you a dog. So you don't pay the full amount, you just pay the deposit because they're like, well, you give me half of it now, and then once you get the puppy, you give me the other half. Well,
Yikes.
there is no other half, and there is no puppy, so yeah, be super careful. Sadly, people are just not honest. You know, you would hope that...
So many times.
Yeah, you would just hope that people would be honest, but for whatever reason, there's apparently some bad people out there. 2.4 million Americans filed for unemployment claims in the last week, bringing the total now to 38 million. That's a huge, huge number. The good news is it's starting to go the other way now.
It is.
And the sad thing is there are some people who are making more on unemployment than they were at work, so they don't want to go back
now
to
they're
work.
refusing to go back
So
to work.
that's not good either. That's just bizarre. A growing number of people have been attending coronavirus parties in hopes of intentionally catching coronavirus, which doesn't make any sense to me.
No, that doesn't make sense. But I suppose if they think, well, if I just get it and get it over with,
Yeah,
then...
I don't know. That's not something I would want to go to. So if you're having one of those parties, you can just lose my invite. AAA is not releasing their annual Memorial Day travel survey because of the restrictions. So Memorial Day was this Monday. Usually there's a survey that goes out Monday saying, hey, where'd you go? What'd you do? And this year they're like, yeah, we're going to just skip that. Like, you know, a lot of people didn't go anywhere. We're not going to, like, rub salt in the wound. So you probably won't see the results of that study this year because, well, it didn't happen. Speaking of studies, here's a survey from Dr. Beach. I got to pause for a second to tell you. Pretty cool name.
That is a cool name.
I don't know if that's like the person's name or if that's like the company. I don't really know. But a survey by Dr. Beach named Florida's Grayton Beach as the number one beach, not just in America, but the number one beach in the world.
Oh, wow.
Grayton Beach along the Florida Panhandle is said to have the whitest sand
Really?
and the clearest water in the country, and it is the world's greatest beach, according to Dr. Beach. And with a name like Dr. Beach...
we may have to make a little
Yeah, we're going to
road
have to go
trip.
visit the beach one of these days. That sounds like kind of a cool place to visit, so what the heck. And like I said, this is coming from Dr. Beach, so you would think Dr. Beach would know a little something about beaches.
Well, you would hope so.
You would sure hope so. Otherwise, you're going to have to change that name. That's going to do it for your scoop of the day. Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
Do you pay too much for insurance? Have you looked around? Or are you too chicken? Don't be afraid to look around to see if you can find a better deal at InsuranceChicken.com. We make it super simple for you to see rates from several different companies, to see what they have to offer, all in one place. Peck out great insurance deals at InsuranceChicken.com. Is it time for you to cross the road? See if we can save you money each month at InsuranceChicken.com. That's InsuranceChicken.com.
And it's time right now for Dear
John Letters.
Dear John.
All right, our Dear John letter today, I don't think, I'm not reading it to polarize. I hope it doesn't polarize anybody. I'm not trying to polarize people, but it's a question that was sent to me. And I know there are going to be some people that say, it was very polarizing. Did I say the word polarizing enough?
You have.
Okay. I'm just trying to make sure we're not trying to polarize. But here we go. Here's the Dear John letter for today. Dear John, I'm trying to decide if it makes sense for me to homeschool my children in the future. I know everyone kind of became homeschoolers this year, but I think it may be a good idea for my family moving forward, too. My husband disagrees. He thinks it makes more sense for our children to be with other children. I have just had so many thoughts about what the future of public schools will look like. Am I being paranoid? Should I calm down like my husband says? Looking for other opinions on this topic. Signed, potential homeschooler. All right, so here's the thing. I think that you and your husband need to agree on whatever
for sure.
it is. So,
yeah.
And I can see where he's coming from, and I can see where you're coming from. So let's just kind of take 2 steps back here. So let's erase COVID-19 from like this last year. If that hadn't happened, would you still be in the same position? And she's not saying that in particular. So she doesn't really say in this letter if that's what it's about, but she's saying, let's see, so many thoughts about what the future of public schools will look like. So I don't know if that, I'm reading it as, you know, what kind of requirements are going to be needed, what's going to happen for kids to be able to be in the same classroom. And she's going, I just don't want to mess with any of that. So if that's what you're talking about, I can see where you're coming from. Again, this is a tough one because, and this is why I said I'm not trying to be polarizing here. And I know there's going to be people who are going to say that this is the way or that that's the way. And the God's honest truth is this. This is an opinion for each and every family to have. And there's nothing wrong with whatever you decide. You know, so there are some people who are homeschoolers and they are not fans of people who make the decision to not be a homeschooler. And there's other people who are not homeschoolers and they're not fans of people who make the decision to be homeschoolers. And I think it's ridiculous. I mean, for people to be upset with what another person's deciding.
Right. You make the decision for your own family.
Yeah, make a decision for your family. Let them make a decision for their family. So at the end of the day, you know, I would love it if people would chime in with your advice. But potential homeschooler, at the end of the day, the advice of us, of John and Heidi, doesn't matter.
That's right.
The advice of strangers that are chiming in with this, as much as I love it when people chime in with advice, their advice doesn't matter. You and your husband need to sit down and have this conversation. And here's a group of people that I think you should include in the conversation. Your kids. They're not mentioned in here at all. But I would talk to them and just say, hey, what would you guys think of being home and doing this at home? And again, I don't know, maybe at the end of the day, it's more up to mom and dad and it's not up to the kids. But I think that you need to have them on board no matter what. We had made a move, and our daughter did not want to go to the school that she was going to.
Oh, my gosh. It was
terrible.
A huge mistake.
It was the worst year because she had made up her mind before we moved there. And thank goodness we were able to get back into the school, and we came back to the area where she was able to finish out her school. Now she's out of school. We don't have to think about that. But do you remember how awful that was?
It was awful.
So you definitely want to have the kids on board, too. Now, there's somebody listening right now that is absolutely dyed-in-the-wool homeschooler, and they think this is the best way. I would love to hear from you on our Facebook page, and there's probably also somebody who says, no way, no how, I tried it this year, that's not for me. Chime in with your thoughts as well. All of the people who have opinions on this can find this Dear John letter pinned to the top of the page at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. And I want to remind you, if you have a question for next week, hopefully nothing polarizing, if you've got a question for next week, I would love it if you would chime in. You can send a letter to us right through that same Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Many people have dabbled in the stock market for their very first time ever this year. If you're new to the market, but you don't want to learn things the hard way and the expensive way, I encourage you to subscribe to this free newsletter. You can get the inside track with Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com. Subscribe for free. If you change your mind, just unsubscribe. Sign up for free right now at marketbeatminute.com. That's marketbeatminute.com. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The Iowa State Fair holds some quirky competitions, like a beard-growing contest, a husband-calling contest, and if you've ever been to the Iowa State Fair, you've experienced a sort of carnival-based fun that's been they've been providing since 1886. If you've never been to the annual event, maybe consider checking out some of the things like cow chip and rubber chicken tossing, husband calling, and a beard growing. It doesn't mention in the story, but there's also a butter sculpture contest. Remember that?
Is that really a
It is.
thing, or was that just that movie?
There was a movie called Butter, and they featured it, but it is based on a real thing. I don't know if it's really as big of a competition as it is in the movie. Great movie, by the way. Heidi is from the state.
It was not a great movie.
I thought it was fantastic. Heidi is from the state of Iowa.
I am.
And have you ever been to the Iowa State Fair?
I have, but
Have
I
you
don't
really?
remember those things.
Any of these things. What do you remember?
Food.
Oh, okay.
The amazing food.
Well, there you go. Thank you for
That's what I
listening.
remember at all the fairs. But
Exactly. Thanks for listening to today's Fun Fact.
Some credit cards have really high rates or big annual fees. Usually, people sign up for these when it's all they qualify for. If that sounds like you, it may be time to get a better credit card. Over time, your situation changes, and you may qualify for a better credit card. Your current card hopes you don't think about it, but our site shows you many options to see if there's a better credit card for you. Check it out for free at bettercreditcards.com. That's bettercreditcards.com.
Now, a news headline from somewhere in this world, Dateline Peru. I think this is the first time we've been to Peru for this feature.
probably.
A small town mayor in Peru was caught hiding in a coffin by police after he broke quarantine to go drinking with his friends.
Oh.
He's the mayor of this town in Peru. Decided to go out, against quarantine as the mayor. When they came in and, tried to do a raid, they were like, oh, hey, I'm going to hide in this coffin. And the police found him in there. And that probably didn't go so well because if he hadn't hidden in a coffin, do you think we'd be talking about it on the other side of the planet right now? Probably not. This has been a news headline from somewhere in this world.
We're here to make it better.
If you find that drug or alcohol problems are hitting you too close to home, you can get help. Maybe it's time for rehab. Your insurance may even cover everything. Learn more at timeforrehab.com. Get help for a drug or alcohol problem within 24 hours.
We're here to make it better.
Get more information at timeforrehab.com. That's timeforrehab.com.
Now, some weird news brought to you by WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com. Roseville, California man arrested after a bizarre home invasion. What a weird story. 28-year-old James Nunley, N-U-N-L-E-Y, II, is suspected of sneaking into his family's, not his family, a family's home, and taking a bath, and then he was discovered, and then arrested. Police are not releasing exactly which neighborhood this happened in, but they say the incident took place last Wednesday morning. At the time, the victims, a family, were putting their children to sleep. That's when deputies believe he entered the home through an unlocked door. He then hid in the home for some time, according to deputies. He used the family's bathroom to bathe himself. Later, as he left the bathroom, he was caught by one of the victims and ran out of the house.
Oh, my gosh.
Short time later, he was caught by deputies, and he was arrested for burglary, booked into the jail there on a $110,000 bail.
Oh, my God.
It must have been a pretty swanky neighborhood. It's $110,000.
That's insane.
I'm not saying that what he did was okay.
Oh, no.
It's certainly
that would
not
be
okay.
terrifying.
But $110,000 bail? He didn't even steal anything. He took a bath, which, again, I'm not defending him. I want to make sure I say that. It's just it's a weird story.
He's darn lucky that household didn't have guns.
Exactly. And even the people breaking into homes there sound like he's pretty swanky. He's James Nunley II.
Right.
Thanks for listening to today's Weird News. Now your moment of duh, brought to you by InsuranceChicken.com. An Avon Park, Florida man was arrested Wednesday, May the 13th, after he was caught exposing himself to women. According to a news release from the sheriff's office, 32-year-old Justin Mosser, charged with 3 counts of indecent exposure in public, 2 counts of committing a lewd act. Charges stem from 2 different incidents, so this didn't just happen once. A woman reported to authorities a man in a gray Mazda was trying to get her attention as she was driving on Highway 60 around 8 a.m. When she looked over, she said the man was completely exposed in his waist area.
Oh.
Like the waist down or whatever. Investigators used description and photo evidence to identify the man. Mr. Mosser told deputies he does the lewd behavior often because he gets hot and airs himself out that way.
Uh-huh.
He admitted to detectives he's done this sort of thing 4 or 5 times to random women driving down the road. So, yeah, dude, get a different hobby. That is where are we reading this story? This is just insane. Thanks for listening to today's Moment of Duh.
Do you pay too much for insurance? Have you looked around? Or are you too chicken? Don't be afraid to look around to see if you can find a better deal at InsuranceChicken.com. We make it super simple for you to see rates from several different companies, to see what they have to offer, all in one place. Peck out great insurance deals at InsuranceChicken.com. Is it time for you to cross the road? See if we can save you money each month at InsuranceChicken.com. That's InsuranceChicken.com.
Time now for fake news or Florida. Heidi, tell me, is this a true story from the great state of Florida, or is it hashtag fake news made up to fool you and amuse me? Are you ready?
All right, I am ready.
Here we go. Fake news or Florida? Police in Florida say someone donated a large grenade launcher to Goodwill. Fake news or Florida?
I'm going to say Florida.
It is a true story. Bradenton, Florida. The Goodwill said, what is this thing? And they Google it and they go, it's a grenade launcher. And they called authorities and said, yeah, we probably shouldn't be selling this. So
you've got to assume that whoever donated that didn't know what it was that they were taking.
It might have been, like a deceased family members, and then they clean the place out and are like, I don't know, just throw it all in a box. I don't know what this stuff is.
Yeah.
So, but there have been some things that end up in a box like that are very, very valuable too.
I'm sure that is too.
So, I'm sure it is, but I don't know. I'm not sure. Can they sell that? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen to that thing. I've got a link to the story. It's in the show notes for today at JohnandHeidiShow.com. This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to JohnandHeidiShow.com. Again, JohnandHeidiShow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always like to wrap things up around here with good news, and I think this is good news. It comes your way courtesy of hashtag gift card challenge. All of the details can be found at giftcardchallenge.org. And I'm talking slow because my computer is going really slow. All right, here we go. I got my headline for you. Here's your good news headline. Anna Rose becomes the first person with Down syndrome to graduate from Rowan University. This is a really cool story. This young lady, Anna Rose Rubright, is a member of the class of 2020. She is the college's first graduate who has Down syndrome. She graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Radio, Television, and Film with a minor in journalism, and her grade point average, 3.426.
Holy cow.
Yeah, that's better than me, I think. I don't remember. Do you know what your grade point average was?
No, but I know it wasn't.
Isn't perfect
great.
Is 4.0, right?
4.0, yeah.
So I think I was like 0.40. So
yeah.
that's a lot lower than perfect. Anyway, Anna Rose's mother, Lynn, said when she decides to do something, she goes all the way. She wanted to go to college like her friends, and she wanted to make that dream a reality. So she did. Rowan University said students like Anna Rose are held to the same standards as every other student. None of the courses for Anna Rose or any other students with disabilities are watered down. The standards are not lowered, said John Woodruff, Director of Academic Success. He says they have the same expectations to complete and pass the course. And college students with disabilities are more likely to drop out of school. Only 34% complete a 4-year program, according to Forbes. So she says there were times when I watched her frustrated. This is her mother once again. I watched her struggle. I said to her, you have an associate's degree. You can be done right now if you want. You've already done so much. And she said, no, I'm not going to quit. And she just kept on going. And she graduated now, again, with a 3.426 GPA and a Bachelor of Arts. That's pretty darn cool. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. If you want to see this story or any of the other things we talked about on the program today, you can find it all in the show notes at JohnandHeidiShow.com.